The start of NFL Week 18, the Texans take on the Colts, and I got some picks for you. And hey, if you are new to this channel, I would appreciate it if you would like the video down below, subscribe if you aren't already, and then click the notification bell to get props on all the videos that I post. You're not going to want to miss it. Also, I'll be making some bonus picks on the Steelers and Ravens game. Just go ahead and check the link in the description below. What's up, everyone? Today is January 4th, and I'm recording this for the two games that take place to start week 18 on January 6th. I'm going to have all players from both games, so stick with me here. My first play is going to be Dalton Schultz, tight end, Houston. This number was at 42.5 for the longest time. Today, of course, when I try and make this video, it's at 44.5. On Underdog, it's 44.5 as well. Dalton Schultz is in an interesting spot. Tank Dell is out and Noah Brown is questionable. I expect Collins and Schultz to get a bump in terms of receptions and targets. And speaking of receptions, we go over. Week 18 is perfect for players to get incentives and extra paydays. Dalton Schultz needs just 4 catches to get the $250,000 bonus. And the Colts are allowing an average of 4.5 catches per game. Not to mention that the Colts give up the 5th most targets to tight ends this season. So if you don't want to follow me all the way, you could fade me altogether, but I really like this play. This is one of my most favorite plays this week. They didn't have the reception spot up there yet. They're slowly creeping in, but I expect it to be around 5 when it does come out. My second play here is going to be CJ Stroud. CJ Stroud's passing numbers have been steadily increasing. I feel like the public might be baited into this demon play, but I'm going to the passing touchdowns play here. And we take that one off, not to get distracted. I'm going to take the CJ Stroud play. I'm going to tell you why. 7 of his 13 starts, he had at least 2 touchdown passes, and 8. So if you look at all these games and you compare the stats, 8 indoor games where CJ was the starting quarterback, they averaged 27.5 points a game. Last week, he completed 75% of his passes and over 70% out of his last 7 starts. Plus, the Colts got torched. Look at this. 2 touchdowns, 384 yards in week 2, where Houston lost. So Indianapolis is going to have to beat Houston twice to basically get into the playoffs. CJ Stroud's going to do everything in his power to stop it. My third play, we are looking at Devin Singletary. We are looking at the rushing yards. This one's one up as well. It was at 61.5 this morning when I was prepping and doing my homework for this video. By the time I sat here and recorded it right now, it went up to 63.5, which is really annoying. But Devin Singletary, he leads the rushing attack. He had 16 carries last week for 80 yards. He played 62% of the snaps, but he's got a dream matchup. So why I say that is if we go to NFL.com and we look at the team stats for defense in terms of rushing, if we go to the attempts here, Colts are giving up the 3rd most attempts. So what that tells me is there's a lot of opportunity for Devin Singletary to hit this number. Also, in terms of rushing yards, they are giving up the 5th most rushing yards to running backs. I apologize. So there's a lot of opportunity and there's a lot of history in terms of the season because there's a lot of data because it's the last week. And then not to mention, I found this right under the Dalton Schultz article. Houston's veteran rusher needs 165 yards. It's not going to get that, let me tell you that. But the Colts have allowed 122 rushing yards per game to opponents across the last 7 games. 60-something should be really easy to get here, you would think, right, for Devin Singletary. I expect this number to keep going up, so get it while you can. My next play is also going to be from this game. If you can't tell, I really like this game. It's going to be Mr. Michael Pittman. I used his prop last week for the Raiders game. I thought they were going to use him a lot, but instead Jonathan Taylor ran 21 carries for almost 100 yards, so they didn't really utilize him a lot. But he's averaging 7.6 out of his last 5. He is Garner Minshew's number 1 guy. Obviously, they got Downs and they got Alec Pierce, but their props are laughable and very inconsistent. If we look over the year and we look at the receiving targets specifically, over half the games this year he's had double-digit targets. First month of the season, he was almost averaging double-digit targets. And look at this. Out of his last 6 games, 4 of them in double-digit targets, where he surpassed that number in a playoff game, when it matters, you rely on your wide receiver ones. And this is going to be Michael Pittman, 6'4", big body. He's going to box you out for a jump ball in the end zone. I could see him scoring. And if we're looking at deep, we're going to come right back to this page. So you're like, Matt, what does rushing have to do with anything regarding Michael Pittman? Let me tell you right here. In terms of yards per carry, the Texans are second, and they are one of the best run defense teams in all of football, which is going to force Gardner Minshew to throw the ball. And I totally see this hitting. This could be like 9. I could see 9 for 100 yards and in a really close 28-24 kind of game. So give me Michael Pittman Jr. more than 7 receptions. For my 5th pick, I'm going to be picking on George Pickens. And I'm going to tell you why. 45.5, if we just look at it, just the prop number in itself, like I said before, if you use other fantasy DFS platforms like Underdog, for example, you go over here, 51.5. It's a little high, so you're getting a little value from Prizepicks, which is rare. I always feel like they have the most inflated props. I'm going to do more for George Pickens. His last 5 has been really heating up here. Had 131 yards last week versus Seattle. That was a really fun game to watch. Mason Rudolph is going to continue to target his happy wideout because that's what you do with a guy who's gotten 326 yards in his last 2 games. He should have an easier time as well against the Ravens defense, since most of the Ravens players are going to spend most of the time around the bench, things like that. So in a game that they must win in order to stay alive in the playoffs, George Pickens, I'm going to do more than 49.5. And then for the last play, I was very comfortable with 4 or 5 picks, but it's week 18. We gotta hit the 6 for 6 here. So we're doing Matt Gay. My name is Matt. His name is Matt. The vibe is right to hit the 6 out of 6. I'm not picking him because his first name is Matt. He's been a very consistent kicker. I've had him in fantasy for a few weeks this year, and he's always gave me double-digit points when I started him. Also averaging 2.5 field goals in his last 5. And if we go over to StatMuse, we look at Matt Gay's stats. It reads from the top down. So the most recent games, if you're not familiar here, so versus the Raiders, Falcons, Steelers, it goes top down. Look at this, 3, 1, 5. Like, these are the attempts. But something that I notice is if you look at when they play at home, he gets a lot more field goal opportunities. So this was a home game, 3. Pittsburgh, 5 attempts, and he missed 2 of them. What a bum. But look at this, Tampa, 3. New Orleans, 2. Cleveland, 2. 3 versus Tennessee, and then only 1 versus the Rams here, and then 1 versus Jacksonville. But I would say that out of all the games, he's only not had multiple opportunities twice. Feed the man. They're going to need him, especially with Houston's defense. It's going to be really good. I think they could stop him inside the red zone a few times and force some field goals. So Matt Gay gave me more than 1.5 field goals. And that's going to be it, ladies and gentlemen. It's been a heck of a season here at NFL Week 18. Be sure to check my main slate for Sunday in the video link down below. Thanks.